good evening. Welcome to CoreTV News at 7. It's good to know you're with us. And this is the story we have for you. And of course, it's also kick-starting what you know as the reporter. First, the news. The federal government has approved 2 private universities exactly 1 month to the termination date of the Jonathan administration. This was one of the decisions made at a weekly Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Goodluck Jonathan. One of the new universities is Edwin Clark University, which belongs to Ijaw leader and elder statesman Edwin Clark. The second university is a Kaya University located in
the establishment of Edwin Clark University, which will address the inadequate access to university education and enrollment of students in carrying out educational facilities in the country. It will enable other people to get access to education. In the council, the Minister for Education gave a reason for that and says, you know, in a country like Nigeria where we have well over 260 million people, our universities are not enough to go around. And therefore, there was the need to approve additional universities.
The federal government is said to have warned the incoming Buhari administration of acting like a parallel government. This, it said, is because President Goodluck Jonathan remains in charge until May the 29th. Minister of National Planning, Suleiman Abubakar, said after the Federal Executive Council meeting that the cabinet is uncomfortable with some of the utterances and actions of the incoming government. He maintained that the incoming government cannot be intimidated, rather, the incumbent government cannot be intimidated to stop functioning.
Should avoid creating a parallel government while the government is still on. We take exception to some utterances, to some of the terms of reference that look as if the current government is being stampeded or intimidated. Council found at most of the statements, most of the provisions, and council members are advised to work in line with the terms of reference of the current government. That the terms of reference as stipulated by our transition committee should be strictly complied with.
Meanwhile, President-elect Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday inaugurated a 19-member transition committee to enhance a smooth transition from the outgoing administration to his incoming one. He also gave the committee headed by Ahmed Joda a 2-week deadline to complete its task. The committee is expected to relate with similar one set up by the outgoing administration. President-elect described the task before the committee as fact-finding, while urging members to avoid witch hunt, and noted that he expects them to assess the information provided them by the Jonathan administration with a view to advising him appropriately on its quality and accuracy. And the committee chairman, Ahmed Joda, assured the president-elect that the committee will strictly adhere to his term of reference in discharging their responsibility. Now, President-elect Muhammadu Buhari has been soliciting the support of the incoming members of the National Assembly for a reduction in the cost of governance. He also wants them to collaborate with the executive to tackle insurgency in the northeast and environmental degradation in the Niger Delta. The president-elect said these in a speech at the ongoing induction program for the incoming members of the 8th Assembly, where he listed some of the challenges before the government, to include a drop in revenue as a result of falling oil prices, endemic corruption, which he says has crippled human and infrastructure development, and poor power supply, as well as youth unemployment. The president-elect maintained that he would require the support and collaboration of federal legislators to tackle developmental challenges through appropriate policies and transparent oversight functions. Now, student groups in northern Nigeria has advised the leadership of the All Progressives Congress to zone the Senate presidency to the northeast. The Amalgamated Northern Nigerian Students Forum gave this piece of advice at a news conference in Kaduna. The students group is rooting for chairman of the Senate Committee on Public Account, Ahmad Lawan, as the next Senate President.
This so-called removal of subsidy has been something that numerous governments have embarked upon without an end. So it means that even if who tells you that if this incoming administration embarked on it, that you will see the end of removal of subsidy. During the former Obasanjo's government, this exercise was embarked upon for about 11 times, and the Labour, both the TUC and the NLC, engaged the government severally. So it is like the more you look, the less you see. For us in Labour, we are not going to support that. We don't have the mandate of our members, both NLC and TUC. So I hope that even the incoming government, in its desperation to look for money, will not look for money at the wrong place.
In the meantime, Nigeria's military authorities are still not sure whether the abducted Chibok girls are part of the 296 women and girls rescued from Sambisa Forest. Defense spokesman Major General Chris Olukolade says the military headquarters is still awaiting pictures and names of the women freed from the Boko Haram stronghold. This, the authorities, is saying after the officers on ground would have completed the screening and profiling of nearly 300 women and girls. Now, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has expressed delight at the news of the rescue of nearly 300 girls and women by troops from the Sambisa forest. The former Vice President said in a statement by his media office in Abuja that it was unacceptable that hundreds of women, girls and boys have been abducted by the insurgent group Boko Haram over the last couple of months. He noted that while Nigerians rejoice at the news of the rescue, they should continue to encourage the military to be steadfast in the operation until all abducted persons are freed. Atiku also expressed his support for Nigeria's military forces in its ongoing mission to end insurgency in the northeast Nigeria. Away from that now, Nigeria Labour Congress says it is not satisfied with many aspects of the 2015 budget, especially the non-inclusion of funds for fuel subsidy. It also laments that a large chunk of the 2.6 trillion naira set aside for the recurrent expenditure would go into pockets of political appointees. NLC officials said this at a joint press briefing with the Trade Union Congress ahead of this year's May Day celebration.
The next ranking officer whom the cap fits is Senator Ahmed Lawal from Yobe State, who is often described as a seasoned educationist, erudite scholar, pragmatic realist, and prodigious scholar, a Marxist to the core, who holds a bachelor's degree to the House of Representatives in 1999, spending 8 years and later moved to Senate in 2007. Senator Ahmad Lawal discharged his duty so well that he earned commendation from both chambers. Ahmad Lawal holds the records of convening the most committee meetings in Senate and a prolific contributor to debates on the floor. He is currently the chairman on public accounts in the Senate.
If you just joined us, this is CoreTV News at 7. We'll go for a commercial break. When we return, we'll bring you more stories. Stay with us.
It is often said that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. But what about the things in life that actually inspire us to believe? Like the things that drive us, the things that move us, and even the things that remind us that the sky really isn't our limit. Because When we are inspired, we are led to future greatness. But first, we just have to believe.
One day I want to build Nigeria's first aeroplane.
I know. One day you'll make us proud.
Rich and creamy pig, extra fortified with 28 vitamins and minerals. Here's to 60 years of nourishing dreams and inspiring the future. The future is bright. Reach for your peak.
Welcome back. This is CoreTV News at 7. We'll go for, you can reach us on our various social media platforms, Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News, or our Twitter handle, CoreTV News NG. You can also reach us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV Louis Space and in news. Our next story is on the lingering fuel crisis, where motorists and commuters are beginning to face hardship in Abeokuta, Ogun State capital, as most filling stations are said to be without premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol. Long queues of vehicles are seen in most filling stations within Abeokuta metropolis. Our correspondent reports that some of the filling stations are under lock and key, while others are selling but with long queues of vehicles. The report. The NNPC mega station located along Abeokuta-Kobakpe Road refused to sell the commodity to motorists, and no reason was given, leaving residents worried and confused on the cause of the recent fuel scarcity.
Want to buy a fuel now? Want to buy a fuel here? And we just observed that there is a queue, and we have to queue on the line. I first of all be at the NNPC over there, but later they said that the fuel has finished. So we have to move to this place.
Wasting time, and we don't really know what will be happening. I don't know whether there will going to be a scarcity or not. We don't know. But just coming from the factory, just to spend a few minutes and go back, we cannot go back. We are queuing. But it is happening. We are producing oil. We have it here. But why are we not having enough refinery to cater for all the masses?
Presently, it is unfortunate that we have this again in this country. We are suffering and missed plenty, and it is so unfortunate. We pray that we live to see a Nigeria of our own very soon. Probably with the new government, with the change slogan, a lot have to change in Nigeria. A lot of things have to change.
Meanwhile, when our crew moved towards Abiola Way at that turn along Obantoko-Ibadan Expressway, it observed that some of the filling stations are selling the commodity without queues. Those who spoke behind camera explained that artificial scarcity could be as a result of internal problems within the NNPC. Attempts to speak with staff and management of the NNPC mega station in Abeokuta were unsuccessful, as none of them was willing to talk to us. Now, the Indonesian government has executed 8 convicted drug smugglers, including 4 Nigerians, by firing squad, despite international clemency plea for clemency. The men had tried to smuggle heroin into the country. The 4 Nigerians had originally been sentenced between 1999 and 2004 for different drug-related offenses. They are Martin Anderson, who was found guilty of possessing 50 grams of heroin. The 50-year-old had traveled to Indonesia on a false passport and was reportedly shot in the leg during his arrest. Rahim Agbaje Salami, 50, was arrested in Surabaya with 5.5 kilograms of heroin and was initially handed life sentence. 4 other convicts are being held at a high-security prison in Indonesia, and they're expected to be put to death by firing squad in several hours. The prisoners' families were heard wailing as they boarded a boat to what's expected to be their final goodbyes. Under Indonesian law, the death penalty is carried out by a 12-man firing squad, although only 3 guns are loaded with live ammunition. A Filipino woman was also due to be executed, but also reportedly spared at the last minute. Mary Jane Fiesta Veloso was spared after the person who allegedly recruited her to act as a drug courier surrendered to police, the Jakarta Post says. Now, just a few weeks after the 2015 general elections, former Education Minister and leader of the Bring Back Our Girls group, Obi Ezekwesili, at an event the inauguration of the office of the citizen insists that the real leaders in the democratic system are the electorate and not the elected leaders. In a metropolitan meeting in Lagos, Ezekwesili says the electorate is the major contributor to democracy but benefit less from the system. She also decried the abuse of office term as seen as an avenue for enjoyment by political office holders and not to offer the necessary services to the already impoverished masses. Through a quote by former American President Franklin Roosevelt, she enumerated the essence of the office of the citizen initiative.
Ourselves are not an alien power over us. The ultimate rulers of our democracy are not a president and senators and congressmen and government officials, but the voters of this country.
Our next story takes us to Kwara State, where Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed has insisted that the peaceful relationship between the executive and legislative arms will enhance the socio-economic growth of the state. This is coming as the Abdul Fattah says that his renewed term will usher in a new system to generate internal revenue for financial independence of the state. Our correspondent Rashid files in this report from Ilorin.
With the Speaker of the Kwara State Assembly, Razak Atunwa, leaving for the National Assembly, the State Assembly delegation led by the Deputy Speaker, Ghana Isa, paid a courtesy visit to the State Governor, appraising the smooth working relationship between the Executive and the House of Assembly so far.
And in spite of all the problems, financial problems, you still found time and you still found it necessary to still do projects that people-oriented projects, in spite of the so-called federal might, delivered the state first to federal government, to General Buhari.
In his response, Governor Ahmed pointed out that the success of Kwara State in the last 4 years is possible due to the diligence of the Assembly in the discharge of its legislative duties.
Our incursion into driving the second term was largely contributed to by members of the House of Assembly. You gave us a very strong support, professionally handled, such that we had a very peaceful way of doing business between the executive arm and the legislative arm of the state, such that rules, regulations, laws were not compromised, and yet they were carried on such that laws to support growth and development for the state have been well articulated all through the last 4 years in almost unprecedented terms. I want to congratulate you and thank you for that.
In a related development, the governor playing host to Association of Local Government Chairmen, where he harps on the need to generate more revenue for the economic viability of the state, as he rails out the action plan for a new revenue generation system in Kwara State.
We must come out with new ways of driving revenue for us to sustainably carry on the business of governance at the local government level and at state level. That new law will give us an institution that will be charged with responsibility independently of any ministry, independently, to drive the state revenues, to set targets. So those who will drive the revenue will not be the usual civil servants we are used to. We are setting a brand new institution that will see itself driven with strong targets and ensuring that all revenues are accruable to the state, are not only aggregated, but also made available for use for development and growth.
The people of Kwara await this new revenue generation system and how it will affect the socio-economic life of the average Kwaran. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
Well, at this point, we'll go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll tell you development that is going on in Edo State despite the just concluded elections. Stay with us.
It is often said that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. But what about the things in life that actually inspire us to believe? Like the things that drive us, the things that move us, and even the things that remind us that the sky really isn't our limit. Because when we are inspired, we are led to future greatness. But first, we just have to believe.
One day I want to build Nigeria's first aeroplane.
I know. One day you'll make us proud.
Rich and creamy pig, extra fortified with 28 vitamins and minerals. Here's to 60 years of nourishing dreams and inspiring the future. The future is bright. Reach for your peak.
Welcome back. We go straight to Edo State, where Governor Adams Oshomole of the state has commenced the inspection of various ongoing projects in the state, days after the just concluded general elections in the state. The governor, who spoke to newsmen shortly after inspecting some major projects in areas, maintained that the exercise was worthwhile, adding that he will continue to provide more services for the people. Our Edo State correspondent has more in this report.
While inspecting ongoing projects across Benin City metropolis amidst applause from residents of the area, they expressed joy over the reconstruction of their roads following several years of neglect. The governor made frequent stops to greet residents itching to have close contact with him, as got a white cock from an elderly woman in appreciation of his efforts in the state. He further assured the residents of keeping the trust line between the APC government and the governed.
We are continuing to demonstrate to Edo people that for every reward that they extend to us, we will continue to reciprocate. That, like I said in my thank you statement, that the APC government will never take the support of the people for granted.
This resident appreciated the ongoing development in the state as he thanked the governor for his gesture.
Beautiful, beautiful. Look, you say this singing and dancing. Many people along us here say, this road will not be done. It's playing us, it's playing us. But today, it's a reality.
Some of the project areas inspected are 2nd East Circular Road, Upper Mission and Upper Lawani. These projects, when concluded, will help ease the major part of the metropolis with erosion and flooding, which has become protracted during rainy seasons.
Now let's go to outside Nigeria, where the U.S. has announced fresh aid of $9 million for quake-hit Nepal as it launched relief and rescue mission in the Himalayan nation, sending a disaster response team along with rescue dogs to search for survivors. This is in addition to the $1 million already provided to quake victims in Nepal on Saturday. The funding will be used to address immediate life-saving priorities, including search and rescue efforts, the provision of emergency shelter, clean water, sanitation, and additional needs that emerge in the coming days, U.S. aid says. The U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter also says 2 C-17s of the U.S. Air Force were dispatched to Nepal with U.S. aid support, search and rescue personnel, and supplies on board. Some U.S. military personnel are already in Nepal for a previously scheduled training exercise, and these individuals are using their equipment and the tremendous expertise to assist in the recovery effort. The U.S. is sending a nearly 130 disaster assistance response team to conduct assessments, coordinate the humanitarian response, and provide search and rescue capabilities, along with 45 tons of cargo. Well, that's our last take. You're on the news at 7. Do not go away. In a couple of minutes, in the next half hour, we're bringing you the reporter. Today's edition, we have a lot for you. I'm Emmanuel Ezekiel, and many thanks for watching.